book lovers, welcome back to my channel. You are watching Procrastinate with Books, and this is me, Yamini. Today, we are going to do the most requested video on this channel, which has basically been how to get started with reading, or how do I reinculcate my love for reading. So if reading books is something on your agenda and you just can't get yourself through with it, I will suggest just keep on watching. So before we actually begin, I want you guys to erase any and every kind of predetermined notions that you might have in your mind about book reading. Be it, I want to read such and such kind of a book, the book should be able to teach me something, or the book should be short enough. I want the book to benefit me in real life too. Oh, this is a good book that's been recommended to everybody, and so on and so on. And when that is done, you will have a clean slate to begin your new journey to reading. Step number one, picking the right book for you, or in other words, picking the right genre for you. And deciding that would be no one else's call. I can decide what's best for me, and so you can also do the same for yourself. But what's more interesting is trying to identify what kind of things do I like to read. If you have been reading books prior and you have somehow lost the overall habit and rhythm of reading books, you want to reinculcate, you already have the answer to what kind of books do you like. For those who have never read books in their past life and just want to get started right from the scratch, I would recommend people to actually check their taste. What kind of content do you like to consume? Be it watching a movie, watching a series online, or even reading something newspaper or any other content for that matter. Try to gauge in what kind of interest areas do you have. Do you like watching series that are murder mysteries, or do you like something in fantasy? Do you like reading more on the news side or watching interviews of real life people and their accomplishments? Then non-fictions would be the direction for you to go in. So just try and gauge in as a first step what is my key interest area while consuming any kind of a content. Once you have the answer for that, you will obviously be able to identify which one or which multiple genres are the ones that would be of interest to you. Second step, starting small. So it's very interesting to see what kind of books you want to read from a particular genre, but what's more important as a next step is to decide the length of the book. Preferably, if you are a beginner into reading books, I would recommend you to start off with books that actually have 100 to 150 each pages or something as a content of it. Now, there are many great books under 100 pages that you can actually consume, which are some of them are mentioned in the top 10 list as well for you to check out. I'm also planning to do a top 10 list of a mixed genre kind of a thing, wherein I'll be listing the best books under 100 pages and in the top 10 category for you guys to check in. So you can stay tuned for that. Step number three, observe your reaction. Now that you have already decided which book to read, once you start reading and getting deeper into it, try to understand how are you feeling about it. Is it something that's vibing with you or not? Or is it time for a change, or you want to pick a different book, or this is really going well and you might be able to complete the whole book in a single sitting too. Try to observe those reactions and you will have an understanding. The reason why I'm asking you to do this is because often what happens, depending on the format and the kind of content you are consuming in the form of which you are consuming it, that is digital, audio, visual, or text, depending on that, sometimes your choices tend to vary. For example, I can personally see a lot of Bollywood romances, South Korean dramas, and everything all together. But when it comes to romance book, that is something I can do no longer. It's a big straight fat no no for me. I don't like reading romance at any point of time. So that's a big no no. I do want you guys to discover that for yourself as well. Be it for non readers and even for the past readers. There might be a few things that you might be interested in your past. For example, when I was growing up, I was very much into mystery and thrillers. But as I grew up, I somehow inclined myself more towards fantasy genre altogether. Step number four, try variations. That in itself is a big step to take. Now, obviously, once you decide, okay, I like reading these kinds of books, it's always good and recommended for you guys to explore more kind of a variety. What happens is reading same kinds of book or books in a similar genre back to back leads to boredom at some point of time, and you might just get fed up of reading all those things all together, and you will again go into a reading slump. To avoid that kind of a situation, it's often recommended that you try different variations. For example, for me, when fantasy gets too overwhelming for me to read, I often jump into memoirs, which is a non-fiction category, or I go for historical fiction, which is again something enthralling for me. Another important thing and aspect that I discovered for myself by reading was, though romance and contemporary world, which is the real world setup, is a big no-no, I think memoirs is still something that I can appreciate very well. I really enjoy reading them, and they kind of inculcate a sense of gratitude within myself when I am reading those perspectives. Number five, we have open yourself up to different variations. Now, what I basically mean by that is you have to try different kind of formats of reading, not just a single format. Why so? Because the number one, I am telling you the number one reason people have listed why I cannot read is because I don't find enough time for reading. You can't make that excuse anymore. We are living in a digital world and we have ebooks, audiobooks, and all different formats for you to consume your books or get yourself into a reading story format line. Now, one of the best timing to read audiobooks is while doing household chores, especially while cooking. I personally get so bored out of it that I really want a distraction, and audiobook just does the job for me in that case. We have so many formats of audiobooks available in different platforms, be it Audible, even YouTube have some great content available, which I don't know how legal that is, but there are options available for you to get started in. So that is one great thing. For people who actually spend a lot of time traveling here and there to and fro from their office, they can listen to audiobooks instead of listening to the music. Or if you don't want to listen to anything and you are constantly, scrolling on your phone all the time, you might want to give ebook a try. And here's a pro tip for you guys, try reading classics. Now, classics are known as classics for a reason. They have so many different formats and versions available. So, if you find a chunky little piece of classic literature, for example, The Count of Monte Cristo, and it's scaring you to bits that how do I get to read so much of it, you might want to try a mini edition of that book, which is gradually available. Another great example of different versions of a story is Frankenstein. You have the complete edition of Frankenstein, and you also have it available in pocket size books, which is a pretty form of consuming the same story in a shorter format. So, you want to give that a try? It would be great. That, my friends, were all the steps that I wanted to discuss with you guys for a quick start into the reading journey for yourself. Do give them a try and let me know in the comments down below which one of these do you find the most helpful, or if you have some own steps that you usually try while getting into reading, or steps that you actually avoid, what do's and don'ts you have of yourself regarding reading. Have a happy time reading and growing, and until our next time, keep your coffee strong and your TBRs low. Goodbye.